Well, our project is about the financial exclusion in the mortgage market in South Africa. Strangely, the project came to us from someone who was working in industry that was interested in the Map the System competition, and they were looking for a partner who was a student to help with it. And so I joined them and brought my study group along, and it sort of came from an idea of a solution that someone had to try and solve the issue of financial exclusion. In South Africa, strangely, if you're a policeman or a nurse or a builder or any sort of skilled labor, you're really not guaranteed access to a mortgage, or you wouldn't even expect access to a mortgage just because of this disparity in income inequality. And so we sort of have a mortgage system that just doesn't work for the people, and it's because it was built for a time when during apartheid the population was a small fraction of what it is now. Well, I've learned really an incredible amount. I looked back at my initial notes from working on mapping the system, and I didn't even mention the solutions and the impact gaps that we identified in the end. It's taken several iterations of adding tools one by one, consulting with obviously different stakeholders in the system, and getting a lot of help from the Bertha Center, who's the organization at UCT that has helped us. I have learned that it's more than just a mortgage system that doesn't function. It functions to keep people feeling like they're living in unsafe areas and have no other options. It really makes people feel stuck and without help. It's shone a huge light on the lack of financial literacy and financial education for the people that are most affected by the issue, when in fact the system is held up by traditional mortgage providers that are really indifferent to the fact that this issue exists, because it's really lucrative for them to run the system in the way that they do. But what's been a wonderful learning is that actually if we can solve these problems and broaden the market and provide access, there's widespread benefits that would be experienced by all sorts of stakeholders, well, every single stakeholder really. And I think everyone is invested in addressing the issue. They just don't understand that it's within the power of the private sector to access this broader market, and it's within the power of the government to collaborate with the private sector. I think though the most valuable learning really has been the system tools that we've been exposed to, things like the iceberg model, our systems mapping exercises. We've learned about developing a theory of change in a 3 horizons model as we try to build out our project, and that's changed the way that I think about problems entirely, and I don't think I'll ever be able to go back. I feel it feels like before I took very narrow-minded approaches to problems because it felt like that was the only option, and that was how we had to approach problem solving and take one piece at a time. But really, system change is possible, and it's not as intimidating as it seems once you really get down into the roots of an issue. I think that the obstacle that we faced the most in terms of investigating our system was our preconceived ideas about how it worked. I had spent some time working in the credit system, and I had quite a bit of experience with that, but you don't see the whole picture when you're working in an environment, and so you sort of form these ideas, and even while we were interviewing different parties, we sort of kept these ideas in our heads. For example, there are mortgage providers in the system whose sole task and their business model is founded on trying to provide access to the missing middle and trying to find innovative ways to capture the market, because it's such a huge market of people that are being excluded by the system. But I didn't recognize them as being actors in that way. I thought that these were private sector actors, and they were just a part of the problem, excluding the missing middle. So as we did more work, as we interviewed more people, specifically as we interviewed people that were in the missing middle, and then interviewed people that are working for various mortgage providers in South Africa, we were able to develop an understanding that different actors almost have a different personality, like different private sector actors have a different personality, and it's much more segmented and complex than it seems initially. I think I want to use the learnings that I've got from Map the System every day in my future. It's definitely shaped what I want out of my future career. I've just had so much fun getting together with people that are similarly passionate about the issues that I'm passionate about, and spending really our spare time just diving into it, speaking to different people, being touched by different people's stories, and understanding how those sort of insights translate into a picture of a complex web through which change can be affected. I've learned that there are research organizations that I deeply respect because I've worked so closely with their materials that I'd love to be a part of one day. Whereas before, I didn't understand systems tools and system infrastructure as something that was accessible as myself, someone who just has a finance background. I'm studying at the same time, and I'm used to working really hard between my studies and between my academic work. But Math System has given my team an opportunity to work really hard at something and show the work to a wider audience, and an audience that has a huge amount of influence. It's people from all over the world and like-minded people that have been just so exciting and wonderful to meet and get to know. I think that being in the Oxford environment has given me sort of essential global perspective on the work that we're doing, especially because there were a few teams that had similar issues that they were exploring to my own, and there was a beautiful sort of intersection that we discovered in working together and hearing their presentations. It's broadened our thinking, but at the same time it's also given us a lot of validation towards the work that we've been doing. We've been given so much assistance and coaching along the way that has provided skills that we'll use for the rest of our lives. So I think it's been a hugely valuable experience to be able to bring our work to Oxford and compete, but in a positive, exciting way, to like share what we've learned and hear about how other people can sort of inform our thinking, and talk about a lot of the solutions that we found, but from the perspective of people who are actually living in the countries that are experiencing those solutions. My highlight of the Math System competition has easily been being able to enter a sort of safe bubble of being able to meet like-minded people that get really excited about the issues and the system thinking tools that I've learned about in the past couple months. I feel like it's a wonderful environment and a beautiful environment as well to get to explore these ideas almost removed from the world that I normally exist in.